There's about
Okay,
10
let's have at it.
seconds.
We're gonna start up the meeting.
About 10 seconds.
All right, this is a Chelmsford Planning Board meeting, Wednesday, May 27th, 2020. The meeting is being televised by Chelmsford Telemedia. Oh, what happened?
We have a screen share.
Screen. Oh, all right. Okay, I got it now. All right. The public can call if they got any comments, 978-238-9305, or by clicking the following link. I'd recommend that we have them call instead of getting everybody on the Zoom thing. I think that's going to be a pain in the neck, to be honest with you, but we'll go from there. If Mike, if you want to read the governor's notice there.
I will certainly do so.
Yep.
Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, the Town of Chelmsford Planning Board will be conducting a remote public hearing on Wednesday, May 27th, 2020 at 6 p.m. to hear the applications below, and you can see them on the agenda as was presented.
All right, very good. Moving forward, get right into it. The first thing on the agenda, we got 540 Groton Road. As all of you as well know, this is an A&R, and the A&Rs are governed by whether they have the two things, the access and frontage. These have all that. It's a very simple thing, so we want to just march right through this and then get on to the stuff that's going to start taking a lot of time.
Well, I have looked at it as well, and I'm prepared to move that we grant an A&R.
I think there's a, excuse me, I think there's the applicant's representative is on with us.
Okay,
Someone-
let's get the,
Someone could unmute and put the video on for Sue Carter.
Okay, I guess, my name is Sue Carter. I'm from Places Associates, and this plan that you see in front of you tonight on the screen represents a parcel swap between the Rivard property, which is the main property you see here, having frontage on Ward Way, and a parcel, which is parcel A, which is to be conveyed to the abutter, which is 540 Groton Road LLC, also known as Newport Materials. The proposed parcel B will be conveyed to the Rivard property, and it's simply a parcel swap. What this will do is facilitate future planning considerations for a potential road connecting the quarry areas on beyond the Newport property to Route 40. So this is just a first stage to make it easy for the future planning.
Perfect. Okay, so we got a motion already by Mike. Did you finish up with your motion, Mike, or you?
not quite. I just wanted to add with no determination as to zoning.
Okay, anybody want a second?
Second.
Okay, who do we get? We got to do this with a roll call vote. So can we get the pictures back up or whatever? Or get, however we're gonna do that. There we go. All right, so we'll start in with Henry. Vote to approve. Oh, your speaker's off. Nothing. Thumbs up if you wanted to approve.
Approve.
Okay. We got all those in favor, everybody put your hand up. All right, all those opposed? You're opposed, and Mike, you gotta make up your mind here.
Thumbs up.
All right, looks like we're unanimous on that. So it passes.
Thank you, everyone. And
Thanks, so,
I'll free up bandwidth and leave. Thank you.
all right, very good. All right, the next up on the agenda is Harvest Lane. This is a subdivision that we approved a while ago. It's a 2-lot subdivision with a private driveway, a shared driveway. And the applicant is looking to get the houses built. And he was trying to get a determination on the roadway in it. After talking to him, I spoke to him earlier. He's not a computer type of guy, so he asked me just to speak for him to get his thoughts out. He wants, basically, he doesn't think he should have to put up a bond to build a private driveway. And I know in the past, we have allowed developers that are coming in. This is a guy, 4th generation in the town, and he's building a house for his daughter, and he's selling the other lot to pay for the house for his daughter. So he has no financial gain in this. The road is going to get built. And my suggestion would be that us as a board, we waive the bond on it. And if that's good with everybody, I think we've done it in the past for developers. I don't see the reason why we can't do it for a person building their own stuff. And I'd like to, if someone out there wants to make a motion in that effect, I'm willing to entertain it.
For the
I'd like
board's
to make a motion.
clarification,
Okay.
the agenda items to request a bond, I think the previous example that Glenn's referring to, the agenda item was to modify the condition of the planning board's decision.
Correct.
Okay, now
So if the applicant wants to pursue that avenue, that's not what's on tonight's agenda.
I
The
think he was
discussion
confused when he
for the
called in,
last
and
week
that's
was to
the-
establish a bond.
the road that he was laid into. Do we have the ability just to make the motion and then,
Not this evening, you don't.
Could I make a motion that we establish a bond of $10?
thank you, Nancy. We get a second on that?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Roll
So just to
call.
clarify, the town engineer was recommending, I think, 187.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
saw that.
Okay, just want the record to be clear.
Yep, thank you. All right, did everybody get their vote? We got all the vote. That was unanimous. All right, very good. All right, the next thing on the list is 9 Acton Road. Requesting applicability for a VCOD. Do we have anybody from Acton Road? Who's on that?
Good morning, members. How are you? This is Philip Iliopoulos.
Hi, Phil.
You want to see my video or do you want me to just do audio?
So we're fine, we can watch you.
All right. I don't want to scare anyone. Well, I hope everyone is well and safe and healthy.
can I interject one thing before you start, Phil?
Absolutely.
Okay. Evan,
Yes.
what exactly is the status of, we've had some discussion about this before.
So you've approved one applicability for this property
Yes.
to the same applicant, and
Right.
they're back for a different proposal.
Okay, so this is kind of a going back to go with the VCOD.
Correct.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
Yes, I appreciate that, Mike. So what we had left off with back in January, if you remember, is we were at least trying to leave the meeting with a sense from the board as to what they would support for a project, especially in terms of density. Part of what we did was tonight is we came up with a conceptual plan to show how many units we could get on site if we built 10 individual buildings. And based on the feedback and the discussion from January, the board had established a baseline project of 30 units. At that point, we let the board know that we had to kind of go back and look at the financials before we came and decided whether to do a full submission. We needed to talk to the landlord, the seller, to see if there was any room there to maybe deal with the price, look at the cost of the project, and really just get a sense of what financially would work. And so, although the board put together that vote of applicability based on 30 units, we've sort of done our homework, and we would have come back sooner, but obviously with everything that's been going on, this was our first chance to meet with you this way. So really, we're going to be coming to you with sort of requests for 2 additional items of relief, okay? And I think in looking at the project and looking at our presentation, we've got a slide that gives a little bit of background about the team, which I know we've presented to you in the past, as well as a slide that goes through both the Center Village District and the housing study. And I think the housing study is just a good place to start, because part of what we also did was these last couple of months is go back and look at the demand in the center of town. And if the board remembers, a housing study was done and it indicated that the town could benefit from, and that there was demand for somewhere between 166 and 250 residential units in the CV district. And we came back and looked at that and within the last couple of months and really found that that was still the case. So Evan, if you don't mind, could I go to the slide before this one? So tonight we're going to have Phil Horesco walk you through the look of the project, and then we can also have Brian Melissi talk about some of the engineering. But basically, the board had established a 30 unit baseline. What we're asking for, we'll be asking for tonight, is 32 units. And my client can correct me if I'm wrong, but we will not be seeking any density bonuses beyond that. So you'll hear tonight some of the things that we're going to provide, like the walkway and the public access and things of that nature that would give us the opportunity to talk about a density bonus as part of the full presentation of the project. But our feeling is if the board is willing to go to the 32 units, we'll consider that the sort of the density bonus for whatever additional things we can offer, such as the brick walkway along Beaver Brook. We're also asking, or we'll be asking the board to go from 35 feet, which is 3 stories, to 44 feet, which would be a full 4 stories. It would still be significantly smaller than Gristmill 1 and Gristmill 2, which I think Gristmill 1 at the highest height was 64 feet. And Gristmill 2 recently, I think, was approved for applicability at 5 stories and 57 feet. So we tried to keep it below that, but really the only way that we can get the 32 units in is basically by increasing the height another 9 feet. If you look at the next slide, Evan, if you wouldn't mind, it sort of gives us a flavor for 4 floors, 8 units per floor, with a building height of 44 feet. We're still able to double the amount of open space, green space on the site. Still able to provide, and will provide if the town wants it, brook walk behind the building, easement for public access, and a little pocket park for, lighting, seating, etc. So what I'd like to do is have Phil Horesco maybe walk you through the new layout of the design of the building, and then we can have Brian go through sort of the site plan itself. I don't know if Phil's in audio here. Phil Horesco?
I am here.
Okay, good.
Let's see. Do you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Basically, it's a simple floor plan. Entrance is directly back from Acton Road, central entrance, elevator lobby, and corridor into units that are on either side of that corridor, with entrances and exits from either parking lot on the right side or the left side. It's a very simple layout, and there's a drop off in front with some parking spaces assigned there for quick drop off and the like. It is just a 3 stories of a clapboard material with a mansard-like material on top, and that is a shingle-like material, if I can clarify that. So the 4th story, we're trying to change materials at that point. And there are some balconies surrounding the building on either sides for the units, a little space there. And it is fairly straightforward design, I would say. I don't need to take a lot of your time, and I know we've been through this many times, so I'll let Brian take over on the other aspects.
Good evening, members of the board. Brian Melissi with Whitman and Bingham Associates. Evan, I think slide 17. I think it's the first, the ground floor plan. Yep, that's the one I think right there. As Phil mentioned, kind of a semicircular drop off out front of the building. The thing that's a little bit different about this layout is we have all the spaces at the surface. No longer is it going to be below grade parking. Segregated into 2 parking areas. With the 32 units, we need 70.4 spaces. We round up, so we have 71 spaces. So we do meet the parking criteria. We still have 2 means of egress in and out onto Acton Road. To the plan east or the right side, we still have the 20-foot easement that would allow us to get to the rear of the site. And in one of the triangular corners is some green space for a pocket park that was mentioned earlier. The circular driveway, the spots out front, we were able to get a couple of handicap spaces in there for that type of amenity. And we're still holding the 20 feet, again, on Plan West, on the left side of the plan, from the abutter on the other side. Very briefly, that was the site plan. That is the site plan, and I'll be over here listening if there's any questions. Thank you.
So I think when we met before, and I won't speak for every board member, but I think there was a discussion and some acknowledgement that the 30 units that the board had proposed was sort of a baseline minimum. Certainly some board members might have felt that would be the maximum. I'm not going to say that's not the case, but I think there was discussion about potentially getting, with some density bonuses, not the full 25% increase or 50% increase that might be allowable per the bylaw, but maybe a few extra units that could get you into the mid 30s, upper 30s. Like I mentioned before, we're not going to be presenting a plan like that, seeking that many units later on, because honestly, before we go through the expense, we want to really try to define the project at this point. And live with the 32 units if the board would be willing to grant us those 2 additional units as a baseline and as sort of a density bonus, if you will. And then, you know, ask the board to entertain the additional height that allows us to make those units fit in the building properly. And if the board's gracious enough to grant us that request, then we would proceed with the next phase of, you know, submitting a full project.
Okay. So do we have more of a presentation, or is that pretty much?
I mean, I think that's it. I think it's really looking at what was approved before, and just seeking, you know, in essence, those 2 additional requests for relief, the 2 additional units and the additional height, the additional floor, basically.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna run around the board real quick and get some comments from our guys. I got a list here. I'll just get on the list. We're gonna start with Mike Raisback. Mike, you want to chime in on this? Mike, you out there? Hello?
That should work better.
There you are.
I have to unmute myself. We've got a couple of things going on here. There's the basic request for determination of applicability. I think that's fairly straightforward. As to the plan for that's presented here, and recognizing this is only a conceptual thing for the purposes of getting through the VCOD, I have to say that I still find it kind of boxy and high. Now that's a gut feeling that I have, and that's, at this point, I'm not making an up or down determination on any of that. But I find the height a bit problematic. I'm not bothered by the notion of 32 instead of 30. I think that's acceptable enough. It looks to me as if the project's been trimmed down a fair bit in cost. That would, you know, it no longer has the parking under, which spreads a lot of asphalt on the top. So those are the areas that I think about, but I'm not sure that those go to whether or not we ought to grant the determination of applicability. So.
Okay. All right. Why don't we jump over to Mike Walsh now and get Mike's comments on it.
Thanks, Glenn. Couple of comments. I know it is conceptual, as Mike said. The first couple of rounds, we saw a much different plan, and I understand that the plan has been set back, but this does look like a box. I am concerned about the height. It is required 3 stories in that area, not 4. And we've been staying that since day one. And I'm standing by that. This needs to be, I'm okay with 32 units. I am not okay with four stories on that corner.
Okay. How about, you all set, Mike?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
I'll jump on to Nan.
Okay, when I looked at this in the plans that were distributed, my first thought was that 4 stories for the grist mill was one thing because it is fully embedded within the VCOD, but 4 stories for this property because it is on the periphery of the VCOD and directly adjacent to residential properties was just a showstopper. The more I look at the drawings, the fact that this is presented with a I want to say gambrel, and that's not the right term. The roof structure that it has, it's very indicative of the hotel in the middle of town. I like that about it. If this were 3 stories with a peaked roof, it would end up even higher than this 4-story structure. So I might be okay with going with the 4 stories on this, provided that this roof structure is maintained and it isn't changed. It isn't changed to a peaked roof or anything else. I'm concerned that it looks like a big ugly box. And it looks like a big cheap ugly box at that. So I'm trusting that the developer will come back with actual plans that have architectural details that make it look like something that's presentable. And I'm concerned, I understand that for this size of a footprint for the building, you cannot put all of the parking underneath, but I would hope that some of this parking gets moved underneath. And 30 versus 32 doesn't bother me one way or another.
Okay, perfect. All right, how about Tim, you got some comments?
So I think like Mike, the one thing that I probably would like to see is 3 floors. 4 floors, I think it's too big for the neighbors. Also, I mean, I'm glad to see that they're down to the 30 range, and just like everyone, the look isn't too appealing. I'm kind of concerned too. I think that with the another big building of apartments, I don't know. I'm not really too excited about it, but other than that, I'm glad to see that it's changed a little bit and it's down to 30. So go from there.
All right. How about Donald? Donald, you got something to say on this?
Yeah, I do. I have no problem, obviously, with 32 units. The height is not so much of a concern. It's basically reflective of the other buildings that this planning board has approved in the center of town, and those that are being proposed in the center of town. The problem is, though, everybody's correct. It looks like a box, but this is what the planning board basically asked from the developer, in my opinion. They presented a beautiful plan. It was a platinum plan, and yet we didn't like it because it was a number of units. The idea of the impervious surface area, gosh, that was an amenity to have underground, but we kind of nixed that from the developer. Sure, it does save them a lot of money, but they're giving us what we asked for. I agree with many of the comments that, yeah, it could be a little better looking than just a box. Again, I have no problem with the 4 floors. The 32 units is acceptable, but I would like to see a little better design on the box.
All right, very good. How about Henry?
All right. Couple quick comments. Concerned in how close the driveway is, close to the Dunkin' Donuts gas station. We're stacking driveway on top of driveway there. I know there's a distance we have to do. We're gonna have to have sidewalks, bicycle things, and we're gonna have to find out where all our equipment's going, so that we don't have one that looks like the building that's behind there with everything on top of the building accessible. Make a 4-story building look much taller. I do agree that it's a big box. Hopefully they could dress it up. Now that we're down, 30, 32 units, it's a little bit better. I look forward to seeing what they actually bring forward. That's it.
All right, very good. How about Hank? You got anything, Hank?
Thanks, Glenn.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't care for the height, the extra story. I don't care for the flat roof. I wouldn't mind seeing maybe a pitch facade around the perimeter of the roof, make it look less boxy. I see you probably got the number parking. And to Don's, his opinion, the other projects in the center didn't abut residential properties. So I think this one's a little bit different than Grist Mill and the other one's proposed. So I'd like to see it more in character with the buildings in town with the peak roof and the 3 stories. That's
Okay.
about it.
All right. My comments on it. I think I'm going to agree kind of with what Hank is just saying about the flat roof. I'm not a fan of the flat roof. It doesn't add to the character of the center. I think we could get, if you could throw a peaked roof up on there and maybe put the 4th floor into the peak of the roof, maybe get some dormers and do a full dormer on the back where nobody's going to see it. And you're going to end up with the same, and it's going to look to the same character as what we're trying to make the center look like, I think. The parking, as far as I'm concerned, is fine. If all the numbers work, there's no sense going underground. I don't believe you would have had any luck going underground there anyhow. I think that river would have ended up in the basement, but that's just me thinking. And other than that, I think we kind of got an eyeball of what we can expect out of you guys to come back with. As far as the applicability, I think we've already proved that it meets the applicability. So what do we need to do, Evan, for us to get to the next step for these guys? Do we need to take a vote on anything at all tonight, or just give them the kind of thumbs up or the thumbs down?
You're being requested by the applicant to make a finding on applicability. Once the board does that, a new applicability decision would be drafted and then reviewed and voted by the board.
Okay.
Evan,
Oh,
question?
Yep, go ahead, Nan.
Thank you. If we vote applicability on this, does this give them a blanket authorization to go to four stories
No, as the board
of whatever design?
as the board well knows, applicability is no guarantee. The applicability decision states that specifically. The applicability decision will also note some of the board members' concerns related to height and some of the recommendations or suggestions that we've heard this evening to make the roof line a little bit more compatible and so forth. But as the board knows, this still requires a special permit, and it is the full-blown public hearing in which the applicant will be required to do full-blown drainage, traffic, landscaping, lighting, and as the board understands, it's during that special permit public hearing process where the board still reserves its right.
Mr. Chairman, may I just ask one thing?
Sure.
So I think that I appreciate all your feedback from all the members, and I do appreciate the fact that there is an abutter to our property that maybe the other 2 gristmill projects didn't have maybe the same concerns. And again, we're not looking to mirror those heights, and I think we've done what we can to keep it at 44 feet. And it doesn't sound like the 32 units is the obstacle, but from everything we've been able to do to engineer this project, the only way you can get 32 units on this site is through 4 stories. And so obviously the board will not be bound by what they find today in terms of our special permit request. And I think there could be some discussions about the design of the building and the roof line and try to accommodate the different desires that the board has. But I think without some sense that the board would entertain the 44 feet, I don't know that the applicant would be able to move forward. And so I just don't want to say, let's do another applicability from 30 to 32. Then we come back to in a month or 2 with 44 feet height in building.
Okay.
And, my team, if they're out there, can certainly weigh in on that, but that's my sense.
All right. So looking at it, I've been checking it off as we've been going through it. We've had 3 people out of the 7 board members that had a total negative about the fourth floor. I think everybody is in agreement that the flat roof is kind of ugly. And like I said, I think you can bury your fourth floor into a peaked roof and it won't look like, it won't look as bad.
Right.
Granted, the apartments up on the top probably aren't gonna fetch as much as they would if you know, just regular windows and a wall or whatever.
Yep.
But we're trying to work with you and make it so it works for everybody, is the feel that I get for the board.
Glenn, can I ask you something, Glenn?
Go ahead, Tim.
Did you, to Phil, did you guys reach out to the neighbor to discuss any options?
So there was, back probably in November, December, they had a meeting at the neighbor's house. And we felt that, I was not at the meeting, but the two project owners were there and met with the neighbor. And certainly felt that the meeting went well, that there was a commitment on our part to provide screening and whatnot, and to work with the neighbor. And there was the understanding that the neighbor would be able to bring their concerns if we weren't able to meet them to the next phase of the project. But I wouldn't say that the meeting was, it was a positive, productive meeting. And I think they asked for a tree line, which we could incorporate into the landscaping plan to protect.
Okay.
And again, I think we could certainly play with that fourth floor, build it into the roof line so it looks, you know, as Glenn had mentioned. I think that we could certainly play into it. I think we could certainly work with the neighbor, who really is, I think, the only probably affected party by it, and try to make sure that we've addressed any concerns they have by adding that additional 9 feet of height. But you know, again, I don't want to waste the board's time. I don't want to waste my client's time and go through all of that engineering if we can't get 32 units into you know, a 3-story building. I don't think it's feasible on this site, unless, you know, the building gets wider, there's less green space, and sort of to Donald's, you know, point, it just gets, yeah, we lower the height, we make the building bigger, we take up more green space, and the site becomes uglier to some extent. Right now, the site's going to be prettier. We've even though there looks like a lot of pavement, we've drastically reduced the pavement. Right now, the site is almost completely covered in building and pavement. So we've doubled the amount of open space with this proposal, which, you know, besides the height, you know, I would ask the board to kind of consider what's there now and what there could be. And while you have more height, I think you'll have a prettier site.
What I'd like to chime in here on the presentation that we were asked to do. These were volumetric studies. Only birds see that this is a flat roof. Earlier, Nancy alluded to the hotel, the historic hotel in town, and that is a mansard roof. And when we look at, is it 14 in the presentation, not this picture, but before this, the one that we're at ground, we're kind of across the front. And this version. What's missing from this are all the trees that go along Acton Road, as well as the trees that are in the green space here in the front. And then these balconies are flush with the building. For example, there are no porches, no elements like that could be added to this, which take your first 3 floors and add more character to it and take away from the flatness of this. The in and outness of windows, they're all in on the upper floor, the opposite of how many mansards are made. So I'd be only too glad to try and make this into wonderful architecture given the opportunity. But this at this point was see what the volumes bring us, and this is where we hung our hat for this meeting. Okay, it's pure. And the elements that us architects like to add are not here. Okay, the trellis work that we had on other of these and planting, it's just not developed. So if we say you have to use your imagination, well, it's more than that, because there's planning board and other planners in town and planners that we end up dealing with to add character and add those elements to this before we're done, as well as it's a for sale project. And you can't sell things that are less than adequate. It's really hard. It makes life harder for the developers. So some of these elements have to be they have to come forward here. And, you know, whether it's a trellis work that goes out to the driveway from the main entrance, and then these various elements for front yards that come off the building to break down the volume. You know, we understand how to do it, but as Philip has said, can't be out chasing things that are fool's errands here. So, so that's really, you know, my thought on it. It certainly has to be improved just from a sales point of view. Okay, if we were to look at it from that, not just singular year planning. So that's my thought about this presently. Thank you.
Okay. So I guess the question here is for Phil, what is it that you want us to do tonight?
So what I think I'd be requesting from the board is really, whether it's an amendment to the applicability or a new applicability, the same decision that the board put together in January that I think was voted on in February. And that would say, instead of 30 units, 32 units, and would find applicability of 44 feet, subject to obviously the board still approving design and everything else that goes along with the special permit. But I think the 32 units and the 44 feet are probably what we would need in order to go to that next step. Otherwise, I don't think it just wouldn't be feasible to get the 32 units in any kind of building.
All right. If we go back to the board for just a minute, what is everybody? I know we've already gone through this once. We've gone through it a couple of times at the last presentation. It seems to me like most of us are willing to give in on the fourth floor, providing that they can make it look not so much like a box. Is that kind of correct?
Glenn, I'll take that first.
Okay, go ahead.
The box, to me, is the whole building, not the flat roof. And a flat roof is absolutely proper with a mansard. And a mansard fits the center of town because of the hotel. We have historical elements in the town that this could, assuming the architects come through, could accentuate our historic elements and play on them. Henry's concern about the utility infrastructure on the roof is a real concern, however, and they will, in the final plan, need to come up with a way to hide that stuff and not put it on top of that flat roof where it's visible. The concern is it will be visible not from Acton Road, but it will be visible from Littleton Road because of the way the elevations. So they're going to have to be really, really careful about recessing that somewhere. And right now, the plan takes up all the space on the 4th floor with apartments. So it does not currently allow you to recess it into the 4th floor. So it's going to create some ingenuity here. But I mean, I'm willing to find this applicable with the constraints that approval of a final project with a 4th floor will be absolutely contingent upon the design elements that they come through with.
Okay. All right, Mike, what do you, Raisback, what do you think on this one? Any more concerns?
No, I think I would agree with Nancy on that one. I'm willing to entertain,
Okay,
but I'm going to be looking very, very hard at it. And I understand the comments that this is really just what we've looked at is an example of how you can accomplish the space requirements very simply without any detail on it. But I'm going to want to see detail. Detail is going to be very important.
okay. Mike Walsh, any more
Back.
comments?
No additional comments. I'm fine with the 32 units. I am not fine with 4 floors. So if we're going to vote for this tonight, I'm going to be a no on the 4th floor.
Okay. All right, who else we got? Donald? Any more, Artie?
No, just the design elements, like everybody else said. Otherwise, I'm okay with it.
Okay, Tim?
Again, my issue would be the 4th floor. I think if they were to work with the neighbor and the neighbor was happy, I think then it would be less of an issue for me.
Okay. How about you, Hank?
I'm adamant 3 floors only.
Okay. I'm flexible either way. If we can hide the 4th floor, I'd be good. I'd be fine with that. And that's probably about it. We'll be back and forth a dozen times. Does that give you enough to, if we just move forward with that, does that give you enough to move forward, Phil, or is that?
Do you want my comment?
Oh, I didn't even see it. Sorry, Henry. Yeah, go ahead.
I pretty much, I almost agree with Nancy this time, which is surprising, but I'm fine with the 32 units. If they could do something to take and break up the building a little bit, would be great. We'll have to see what comes forward on us. And the 4th floor, I'd like to see how it's going to break in. I am really concerned about the utilities. That's
Right.
it.
All right, thank you. So that's kind of where we're at, Phil. What do you want to do?
Well, maybe this is a question for you, Mr. Chairman, or for Evan. Can we craft a vote that finds the applicability at 32 with some language about a 4th floor, depending on the board's review of final designs and a butter concerns, something along those lines?
That sound all right with everybody?
I can draft that. Like I said, it would be reviewed and voted at the next meeting.
Okay.
All right, everybody on the board okay with that? Thumbs up?
Thumbs
I'm
up.
okay.
All right,
That would be great.
that'll get you rolling.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Phil. All right.
So we're looking for a formal vote on this agenda item?
All right, we're gonna have to vote on this?
Yeah.
Somebody want to make a motion?
Well,
I move that we approve applicability of this plan with 32 units and 4 stories, subject to review of the final submittal for architectural adequacy of the 4 stories.
You're agreeing to the 4th story.
I'm not. I'm saying that we're going to look at it closely when it comes in as a submittal.
So can I ask you to amend that a decision will be made on the fourth floor at the next meeting?
I thought Evan just said we had to take a vote on this now.
I don't need any details. I don't need any details. Let me work out a decision.
Okay.
Your vote just needs to be your voting applicability as presented, the 32 unit project from this evening.
And
I
the
move that we vote applicability as presented and discussed with the concerns as discussed.
Right. And the
I think that should
draft
cover it.
applicability decision will articulate everything I've heard this evening.
Okay.
All right. We
Somebody
got
want
a
to
motion there. Somebody want to second that?
I'll second.
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Mike's opposed, and Hank's
No.
opposed, and Tim's opposed. So we got 4 and 3. Oh, your speaker's off, Evan.
I'll prepare a draft for your next meeting on June 10th.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, just one question. Was that 4 and 3 or 5 and 2?
The applicability was voted 4-3. The special permit will require at least 5 members in the affirmative.
All right.
All right. Very good.
Thank you for your time tonight.
Thanks, Phil.
All right, take care.
All right. That one's out of the way. Well, now what do we got going on here? All right, 235 Littleton Road, Planning Board 2020-01, COID and special permits.
All right, let me see if I have any letters. Of course, this is COID. Oh, wait a minute.
Hey,
Okay.
just for a quick question, whoever's running the screen, is there a way to minimize what you put up in the screen, like up in a corner, so we can still see the people that are talking and not just have this big plan or screen in front of us?
If you go to view options at the top of your screen, you can choose side by side view while someone's presenting.
Oh, okay.
You have to do that. You have to do that while someone's sharing a screen.
Oh, okay, all right. And that'd be up in that top box up in the corner or
No, it'll be top center.
top center? I'm not seeing it.
Nobody's sharing a screen right now.
Oh, down on the bottom. Mine's on the bottom. Okay, never mind.
We just
All right,
need the
so
board to read the legal notice to open the hearing.
I think we do.
Yep, you got the legal notice, Mike?
Yes, I do. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, Town of Chelmsford Planning Board will be conducting a remote public hearing on Wednesday, May 27th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. to hear the application submitted by, this is 235 Littleton Road Realty Trust, 235 Littleton Road for the construction of an 8-unit multifamily structure with associated site improvements located on a newly created lot. The site is located in the CB Commercial District and consists of approximately 5.78 acres. As shown on the Assessor's Map 91, Block 378, Lot 11. The applicant requests approval under Article 21, Community Enhancement and Overlay and Investment Overlay District, and associated special permits per Section 195, 111D6, and 195, 113 for a residential use. The applicant is also seeking site plan approval under 195, 104, and Article 23, inclusionary housing, and any other relief that may be necessary. Documents may be provided at, and he gives a link. So that is the legal notice. My question before I go on, Evan, at this point, we're just looking for applicability under COID. Is that correct? Because
This
everything.
is a, I believe this was it's a full submission.
A full submission. Okay. All
I
right.
believe they already did applicability.
Did we do one on this?
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
Brian Melissi with Whitman and Bingham Associates here representing 235 Realty Trust. Charlie Hillman, who is the trustee, is on the video. And yeah, we received our applicability back in March before the world came to a grinding halt. And what we have in front of you tonight is a submission for site plan approval and the required special permits to move forward.
Okay. In that case, it's probably appropriate for me to read the rest of the letters in the file.
All right, have at it, Mike.
Okay. The first one, Planning Board Memorandum, subject 235 Littleton Road Trust, 235 Littleton Road, Charlie Hillman, for the construction of an 8-unit multifamily structure with associated site improvements located in the newly created lot. The site is located in the CB Commercial District. 5.78 acres is shown in the assessment.
Mike, you don't need to read that again.
Okay, but the important piece down here is it's no comment on the bottom.
From the police department.
No, this is actually from your department, from calling to all the other departments. That's a planning board memorandum.
Yes, but I think the comment, the first sheet, the comment was submitted from the police department at the bottom.
Flip back over. Now, maybe my sheets are in a different order. That very well could be. Okay, police, yes, no comment. We have Board of Health. Sue Rosa, Board of Health would require additional dumpsters and expansion of the existing dumpster area with enclosures to accommodate the additional 8-unit building. From the building inspector, I believe this is, no comments. And fire, it's actually at the end here. Proposed multifamily dwelling at 235 Littleton Road. Dear members of the board, the fire department has reviewed the proposal for a new multifamily dwelling at 235 Littleton Road and finds the following. The department has concerns regarding the ingress and egress of fire apparatus from the site. Parking for vehicles at both existing buildings at the site is not currently shown and could provide obstructions to fire apparatus accessing and leaving the site. The developer and their engineers shall submit a plan demonstrating fire apparatus access. The plan must employ swept path rendering using the AASHTO Bus 45 template to demonstrate access to the parking area and fire equipment and fire apparatus egress from the proposed parking area to the main driveway of the complex. Regarding water supply, the project meets CFD standards. There is a hydrant located within 60 feet of the proposed fire department connection and an additional hydrant on the site for manual firefighting operations. There is no direct access, however, to the fire department connection from the nearest hydrant except over a landscaped area. The department requests that paved paths be installed from the proposed Littleton Road sidewalk to the paved path that accesses the building from the parking lot. This sidewalk must always be maintained and shall not be used for snow storage. The dumpster location and snow storage plan are acceptable to this department. The proposed building shall be protected by an approved system of automatic sprinklers and shall be monitored by a fire alarm system. The applicant is advised that testing for emergency responder radio coverage signal levels and compliance with current CFD guidelines for ERRC shall be required. This office cannot recommend approval of this project at this time without further information and asks the board to make this letter part of their approval process. Respectfully, David Kutsoufis. And that's what we have for letters.
All right, Brian, you want to go ahead with your presentation?
Sure. And I will try to be quick. So again, The project is located at 235 Littleton Road. The parcel size currently is 5.78 acres. I mentioned already that in March of this year, we received our applicability letter under the COID for the project. The project is basically a mirror image of 237 Littleton Road, which was built, I think, about 4.5 years ago. I think it'll be about 5 years in September, if I'm correct. The project consists of 8 one-bedroom units in a 2-story building, so there's 4 units per floor. The site plan does utilize the existing driveway that comes off of Littleton Road. We do not propose any more egresses onto Littleton Road. If the board remembers 237, you came in on the existing driveway. To the left was 237. This building now is going to the right. The project is serviced by municipal water, municipal sewer, and we have proposed an on-site stormwater management system. Some of the board members may remember that Mr. Hillman gave an easement to the Chelmsford Woods project, which is adjacent a little ways down Littleton Road, that they were able to loop the water and provide some additional fire flow capacity and volume into a couple of the existing projects. For that easement, Mr. Hillman simply asked that while the contractor was out in Littleton Road putting in new water mains, that they bring the utilities off Littleton Road for his project. So currently it's shown in the site plan. There's an existing hydrant on the site, and there's an existing sewer manhole on the site. Similar to the 237 project, again, I think the notice had said that this project's going on a newly created lot. We haven't created the lot yet. What we would like to do upon approval would be to split the 2 buildings, the existing 12 unit shown up in the upper corner there is the existing building, and we would create 2 lots out of that. We would require some relief under the COID dimensional table. We would meet the COID dimensional table. However, we wouldn't meet the full-blown CB, the underlying CB zone. And there is a site plan, Colleen. I don't know if that is the plan of record showing when 237, which is the building to the left, was cut off from the larger parcel. Now what we're doing is we're locating or developing the area right under where it says Lot B. Correct, right in there. We need the parking calculation. The site plan actually does show a handicap spot. We're not required to put a handicap spot in, as in 237. I think we showed one on the site plan, but without any handicap units, we did not stripe that. But we just wanted to show the board that we have the capability to do that. Some of the comments that were raised, I guess most of them just came from the fire department. We will provide them what they need for their swept path analysis. We did that on the original driveway a couple of years ago, and we'll show them the additional swept path into the new parking area. Trying to look over my notes, and I believe that's all I know. I was brief, but the plan set does show erosion and sedimentation controls. It does show a utility plan where we propose to tie in on all the utilities, as well as the landscaping and whatnot. So again, Charlie is on the call, and I'm here to answer any questions that the board may have. There you go. So if you scroll down, that's the layout plan. You'll see that the existing building 237, I believe one of the comments, Mike, if I heard it correctly, is we do not show the existing parking area for 237. I don't know if I heard that comment correctly, but we certainly do show that parking lot off to the left, plan west, I guess, to the left of the plan. And you'll see that the new parking area is to the left of the new building. We do have some existing wetlands along the stone wall to the rear of the lot. When we were developing 237, Mr. Hillman kind of created a boulder wall, which is shown on this plan. We put it outside the no-touch zones for the conservation commissions. so that we know we would not be encroaching on any of their buffer zones. We do need to file with Conservation Commission, and we'll be doing that subsequently.
All right, very good. All right, why don't we run around real quick with the board with this? We'll start again with Mike raised back. Mike, what do you got?
No particularly deep concerns at this point. It's set far enough back from the road that I don't think it's going to provide much of a visual shock. Seems reasonable enough. I don't see a lot about landscaping on there to the extent that there will be any. I mean, it's a fairly wide area, and I presume a lot of it's going to be green. Yep. I presume we'll get that.
All right. How about Mike Walsh?
On mute. I'm sorry, I unmuted myself. Hey, a quick question for you, Brian. A couple of questions. One is, so you are going to address all the fire department concerns?
Correct.
Okay. And what is the reason why you didn't finish the site plan and split the two lots showing the lot B? You're going to do that after?
Yep. So the site plan does show where the proposed lot line would go.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't want to go and put an A&R plan in, go through that expense, have the board sign it when something may get shifted around, causing us to have to move that property line.
Okay.
So with the chicken and the egg thing here, the site plans do show the proposed lot line. But again, upon approval, we would put that A&R plan into the board.
All right, great. And then my last question is actually for Christina. I think we talked in previous meetings that the sewer capacity of the town is full. And is that still true, or has that been addressed since that was discussed, I think, back in December and January? And we were talking about projects going forward that they were going to need to get addressed, that there's sewer capacity in the system. Is that true or not?
So as of last time I checked with the DPW, there is sufficient capacity for this project.
For this one?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all the questions I have, Glenn. Thank you.
All right, Nan, go ahead. Nan?
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
My screen's acting up a bit. I get delays. The only question I have on this, I'm not seeing a lighting plan. Brian, did I miss it in the plans, or will it be the same lighting as the other unit?
My bad, unmute. There is a landscaping and lighting plan, and the note says that, yep, we're going to be using small residential scale lights, again, mirroring what was next door. I think we show 3 lights on either corner or each of the 3 corners of the parking lot. Again, we're using small residential style, 7-foot, 8-foot high light posts, very similar to what's out there.
Okay, I found the landscaping, so obviously I just missed the lighting on it.
Yep.
No issues. That's all I have.
Okay, Nan, thank you. Tim, go ahead.
I don't have any issues with it. I'm okay with it.
Tim's good.
Thank you.
Donald?
No questions or comments, thanks.
Okay, where are we? Henry?
I think it's going to be a good project compared to the size of the other projects that are over there. An 8-unit building is kind of nice. They did a great job with the last one. I'm sure they'll do a great job with this one.
All right, thank you. Hank?
I think it's a good project, especially if it's going to mimic the last one. So I think it's a go for me.
All right. Myself, I'm on board with all you guys. I think the project is going to do just as well as the other one. I think we ironed out pretty much all the issues on the last one. This is just a duplicate of it. I think it should be a nice, easy one to get through with. So that's where I stand on it. This is a public hearing, so I guess we got to open it up, and this will be a first time for doing this. to see if anybody calls in or if we, I don't know what the protocol is for that. Give them a couple of minutes. If nobody calls in, we'll regroup. So,
While we're
anybody want to
waiting-
call?
While we're waiting for anyone from the public to call in or join the meeting via Zoom, does the board want to keep the hearing open while I draft and then bring to you on your June 10th, the final decision?
We could do that, or we could, while we're doing it, you want to just take a vote on it and be done with it, and then you can just do your decision.
It sounds like everybody was in agreement. Why don't we just go ahead
Like
and take a
everybody's
vote?
ready to go on it, so,
Glenn,
yes.
I've got a contingency on that if we want to go with it, and that is looking at the landscape plan, no oaks over top of the parking spaces. Sorry, but the way
Okay.
he wrote it down, it opens it up to oaks, and I have to insert that.
Okay.
My bad.
Yeah.
Or is that something you want to do as a contingency, or?
Well, I don't think you want to wait to have the drawings changed.
Right,
So the expeditious way is to do it as a contingency.
okay, yep, all right, that works.
Just for the board's notation, the legal ad did make mention of inclusionary.
Yes, it did.
So I believe the applicant is, I don't want to speak for the applicant, but I believe they're requesting a waiver or maybe a reduction.
Oh.
Oh,
You want to chime in on that, Brian, or Charlie, or somebody?
I'll take a stab at it, Charlie. If I say anything wrong, unmute and jump right in. The original 8-unit at 237 Littleton Road predated the inclusionary bylaw. 25% at 8 units would mean we would have to put 2 units up for affordable housing and or a payment in lieu of. I guess to educate myself and my client, is there a current rate at which a 1-bedroom apartment is being subsidized at, or not subsidized at, but billed, if we were to try to put buy ourselves out of the inclusionary?
That's a good question for Evan, I guess.
1-unit rental, 1-bedroom rental
1-bedroom rental.
is $50,000.
$50,000 for a unit?
And they'd be required you to have one, Brian?
I think we would ask for any relief that we could get, whether it be 1 unit. I suppose no units would be better, but if the board were to see their way providing 1 unit or the payment in lieu of for 1 unit, we would certainly like the board to entertain that.
All right, what does the board think of this? Anybody want to chime in on how they feel on this?
So, Evan, I'm sorry, do we start at 2 and work our way down?
This requires 2 units per the formula. The applicant's indicating that they're requesting a minimum waiver down to 1, and then the board's consideration on that, on the PILO for that 1 unit.
I'll say
Go
something.
ahead, Nan, or Henry.
The building right next to it that we approved was 20 units on 1 acre. This is 8. It's a lot nicer. I just think we should be able to think about it somehow or another instead of trying forcing people to put a 20-unit building on 1 acre. 8 makes a hell of a lot more sense. That's my comment.
Good, Nan?
yeah. I don't know whether the applicant can answer this, but I'm going to ask anyway. And that is, the rental on these units, what percentage is it higher than the rental that would be acquired if the units were designated as affordable housing? In other words, how much of a reduction housing warrant on those units?
Can you,
I don't know what the low income what that is, what the price is. My units there go from 1,200 to 1,400. They're all one bedroom. Everything I have there, even the 12 family in the back, no kids. Most of the people there are 50, 60, 70 years old. The 8 family right now has, out of the 8, 4 retired Chelmsford people. Most of them, I shouldn't be saying this, but elderly.
Yeah.
And then there's 2 Westford. And that's what I've been trying to do, is to, keep small units, or 8 units, so that there's some green space. There's, it's nothing but hot top and all this other stuff that you see around. So, I mean, it's $100,000 for 8 units. That's $25,000 a unit. That's crazy.
right,
So the point that thank you very much, sir. The point that I was trying to get at there is that these units basically are affordable housing. And if we require them to be under the affordable housing bylaw, there is a lot of overhead that gets added to the owner that isn't warranted given the service that these units are already providing to the community. I would be in favor of waiving the requirements for this project.
okay. Quick question for Evan. What is the affordable price on a 1-bedroom?
50,000 for a rental,
How much is it?
50,000.
No. How much is the rental on an affordable unit?
Oh, a 1 bedroom would probably be about 900.
Okay, so he's close to what the affordable is on that.
Yeah.
My thought on it, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, my thought here is I think we should not get in the habit of bypassing the inclusionary housing rules that we have. That said, I think it might make some sense to offer some leeway. And I think the notion of 1 unit's worth might make some sense. And I would say the applicant can decide how he wanted to handle that. I mean, it could be a PILO, or it could be, I don't know what all of the options are.
So based
my
upon this quick
concern-
conversation, does the board want to continue this? Or you want me to draft a decision and continue the hearing, let the applicant and the board give this some more thought? Or do you want to continue this conversation and try to iron this out tonight?
I think we can probably nail it down pretty quickly here. I don't think everybody's that far off on it. My thought is on it, he's pretty much already close to the affordable numbers anyhow. So, and we've given some of the bigger developments a lot more stuff out of their packages than this is even coming close to. I would be in favor of just giving them the 2, just bring it down and then get rid of both units like they were asking for. And I don't think that's going to hurt the town at all. I think he's doing a good thing. He's got a lot of elderly people in there. He's got a lot of ex-town employees that are living there. And I think it's a good thing. And he's proven that he's done a nice job, and all the stuff that he's built all around the area over the past 40 years or so, probably more than that. Charlie's old.
Question?
Yeah.
Yeah, question for Evan. If we were to require 1 unit for this property, the first question is, what would be the cost of the overhead management involved in operating that 1 unit? And the second question is, if this had 1 unit as rentals, could we claim all 3 buildings under our affordable housing inventory?
I didn't catch your second part of your question. Your screen froze.
It does occasionally. If we one affordable housing unit in this new building, could we claim the units in all 3 buildings as limits?
Not if one were affordable. If 2 were affordable and they met all of the requirements to be eligible, then all 8 units could qualify.
Could we qualify all?
You froze again. I didn't hear your
Could we
question.
qualify the unit? Could we qualify the units in all 3 buildings?
Probably not. They're
Right.
likely under different LLCs and different ownership types. So they're probably legally not considered one mortgage and one ownership.
Okay.
If I may interject, the 12 unit in the back is all electric, which I pay for it. So that there's no utilities for any of the people back there. And the rents back there run from $9 to $9.90. There's 12 of them.
This property is certainly one of the more affordable properties in town, and considering how new the first building is, this one will be brand new construction, and I believe the property owners made significant enhancements to the oldest building on the property. So I understand what the board is discussing.
Can I say something, Glenn?
Sure, go ahead, Hank.
I agree that the rents they're so inexpensive. I think we should waive the affordable housing fee. I wouldn't like to make a habit of it, but.
Why don't we go around the board real quick and just do a quick vote on it and then see how many of us think we should just do away with the payment and how many don't want to do away with it.
Glenn?
Yeah.
I did not get an answer from Evan on my first question of what does it cost to manage an affordable housing, 1 or 2 affordable housing units?
So upfront costs are related to hiring a third-party agent to do a lottery, and then income monitoring as well. And then there's some annual monitoring fees associated with income eligibility. So generally speaking, for a small project such as this, where there's under 10, certainly under 10 units, it is a significant burden to include the affordable units physically as part of the project. And then just as I think, Nan, as you're indicating, the costs associated with hiring agents to monitor for 1 unit or 2 units very often doesn't make a lot of sense.
Thank you, Evan.
And that was why the pilot possibly, I think, was suggested. Correct me if, Brian, did you mention that the applicant was willing to go 1 unit, maybe in a pilot?
Again, we were looking for whatever relief the board could muster. I'll let Charlie weigh in on that. Obviously, 1 unit's better than the 2. If Charlie, you want to weigh in real quick?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is the overhead and the cost. If you do 1, if you do 2, I mean, it is a significant cost. And of course, I would prefer none. I like to put the money into the project and not into more low-income housing.
All right, I think that's a good idea myself. So do we got Hank chimed in on it? Donald, what's your thoughts on reduce? You want to go with 1?
No, I would agree. I would agree to, I mean, if actually, I think we're basically stripping the inclusionary regardless, pretty much on every project. So what's the point of having inclusionary?
All right. What are your thoughts, Tim? 2, 1, or none?
The rest of the board was gonna go with none, and I would agree with it. I mean, it is a good project, I do like the low income. Takes good care of me, so I would agree with the rest of the board with that.
All right, what about you, Henry? Oh, you muted yourself. I think you muted yourself, Henry.
I agree, none.
None for Henry, okay. Where are we down here? Mike Walsh.
I agree with the board for none on this project.
Okay. Nancy. Nan. Oh, she's froze up again.
0.
0 for Nan. Mike.
Well, I still like 1, but looks like you have enough votes to do something.
Okay, I'll go with 0 on mine. So why don't we write it up like that, Evan? We're gonna give them the complete reduction.
Sure.
All right. So do we want to throw a motion together and vote with your contingencies and we'll let Evan draft it up and be done with this so we can move on to the big one.
Is there any public?
But yeah, I didn't even ask that yet. Is there any public opinion on this? We'll give that a minute to see if anybody chimes in, and we don't hear from them in a minute. One of you can throw a motion at me.
Excuse me?
We got a letter here saying from host to everyone, nope. So go ahead and make a motion if somebody wants to.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair?
Hey, Christine.
Oh, thank you. So I have not had a chance to complete the technical review. However, I request that I'm able to do that offline with the engineer.
Okay.
Thank you.
That'll work. Thank you.
I think we're looking for a motion to close the hearing and then the main motion.
I'll give a motion to close the meeting.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We got a unanimous on that. All right, now we need a motion for
I'll give a motion that we approve pending Evan's letter.
and with the contingencies in it.
Contingencies, yep.
Okay, we get a second.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We get another unanimous? We do. All right, guys, you're good to go.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
your time. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, now we're moving on to UPS for the parking garage or parking lot that they're looking to put in. I think this is Casey Wolf here is the guy in charge of that by the looks of it. Oh, he just,
Yep. We just need we need the legal ad read to open the hearing.
Yeah.
oh, okay, Mike.
Let me see if I've got it here. Just a moment. Okay. Again, pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL 3818, and the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Town of Chelmsford Planning Board will be conducting a remote public hearing on Wednesday, May 27th, 2020 at 6:45 or thereafter to consider the application submitted by UPS, Casey Wolf, Facilities Engineer, for property located at 1 UPS Road, map 77, block 271, lot 18. The property is located in the IA Limited Industrial Zoning District. Applicant requests site plan approval under section 195, 104, major business complex, Article 11, and any other relief that may be deemed necessary for an expansion of the parking lot and pavement extension into the northeastern portion of the site to allow for an additional 138 parking spaces for trucks. There is an associated earth removal and landscaping work as part of the design, along with minor utility adjustments, underground water line, and associated electrical site lighting. Documents may be viewed at www.townofchelmsford.us. And per order, Glenn Cole.
All right.
And then we have a couple more. I have a letter from Chelmsford Fire. Dear members of the board, upon review of this project and the materials submitted with it, the Fire Prevention Office has no concerns as proposed. Board of Health, no comments. All right, we have a fairly lengthy one here from Public Works. Dear members, this office has reviewed the site plans by Arcadis USA Inc., consisting of 19 sheets dated December 2019, revised on March 26, 2020, a supplemental data report dated December 20th, 2019, and revised on April 13th, 2020, and a traffic impact study dated January 2020. As a result of this review, this office has the following comments. 1, the department shall be notified when work on the site is to commence in order to arrange for inspections. 2, any revisions to the drainage system shall be submitted and approved by this office. 3, the stormwater operation and maintenance plan shall be followed as described in the report. Copies of any inspections or other reports done in accordance with the plan shall be forwarded to the engineering office. 4, a site as-built plan shall be provided upon completion of the work on site. As-built plan to include a letter from the engineer stating that all stormwater devices have been built to satisfy mass stormwater standards. Provide all supporting documents and calculations. The as-built plan must be from a ground survey and submitted in AutoCAD and paper form. 5, confirmatory testing shall be performed in the area of infiltration for stormwater management guidelines. Testing shall be witnessed by the Chelmsford DPW Engineering Division. All unsuitable material, if any, discovered in the excavation for the infiltration system shall be removed and disposed of in accordance with state and local regulations. A contribution to the 53G account for the additional parking spaces should be considered. 7, the project requires an NPDES construction general permit. A final copy of the stormwater pollution prevention plan must be submitted to the town as well as filed with EPA prior to beginning any site work. 8, trench permits shall be filed as necessary per 520 CMR 14.00, Chapter 82A. 9, the design engineer has received design and drafting review comments from this office. If you have any questions, please contact this office. Sincerely, Christina Papadopoulos. And then I also have a memo from Evan. I have reviewed the proposed project and submit the following for consideration. 1, requires site plan review and likely a major business complex special permit. 2, complies with 40-foot properties line setback, section 195-43 from residential use zone on Moore Street, and minimum 20-foot street frontage setback, 195-45 from Brick Hill Road. 3, landscaping buffers along Moore Street properties and Brick Hill Road appear to be compliant. 4, a special permit for reducing internal parking lot landscaping per section 195-44A may be needed. 5, perimeter fence details show barbed wire atop. Is this necessary? 6, landscape architects should verify that proposed sumac is not invasive. 7, proposed LED light poles shall not exceed 6,000 Kelvin. Is that correct, Evan? Is that what you meant to say? 6,000
I
Kelvin?
forgot what the board standard was. Am I high?
I think it's about 3,500.
I was high.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll consider that. Will existing light poles be retrofitted with LED? 8, enhanced signage shall be considered to direct truck traffic to UPS Road from Brick Kiln Road. 9, it should be noted that Brick Kiln Road, Route 129 intersection is located in the town of Billerica. 10, over the past several years, UPS has leased off-site parking areas to stage trucks during peak seasons. Will this practice continue based upon this expansion? 11, a 53G contribution for increased parking spaces should be considered. I have also a letter from Chelmsford Police. Dear Planning Board members, the Division of Special Services has reviewed the possible expansion of parking lot located at 1 UPS Road in Chelmsford. This expansion calls for an additional 138 trailer parking spaces on the property. Upon careful review of the plan and the Arcadis Chelmsford traffic impact study provided by UPS, the Chelmsford Police Department has significant concerns regarding the expansion. The Arcadis traffic study indicates through their analysis that there are already prior to this expansion significant issues at the intersection of Chelmsford Road, Route 129, and Brick Kiln Road. The study recommends that the existing traffic counts prior to the expansion warrant a light at the intersection of Brick Kiln Road. The study recognizes that a worst-case scenario would be 276 additional tractor trailers utilizing the roadway every day. The additional 276 tractor trailers would significantly impact the current issues at the intersection and the surrounding area. The police department also continues to receive neighbor complaints regarding tractor trailer operators ignoring the truck exclusions on both Sprague Ave and Carlton Street. United Parcel Service has installed numerous signs recommending drivers take a right out of UPS Road, but they are still ignored in some circumstances. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. Sincerely, Lieutenant Colin Spence. Let's see what else I've got here. Okay, and I have the attached letter from the police. And then there's a memo of additional information. Good afternoon. I'd like to add the following information for the planning board meeting scheduled for May 27th. I'm attaching okay, this is a
I believe the rest of public comment.
yeah, this is a okay, these are public comments, so I'll leave them for now. Okay. There you have it,
Mike. All right. Whichever one of you guys wants to take your presentation and run with it, go ahead.
Jade, can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Great. Good evening, everyone. My name is Doug Preston, project manager for Arcadis. We have worked with UPS to provide the design document submittal for this project. On the call with me, we also have Kate Edwards, civil engineer with Arcadis, and Leah Bello, environmental engineer with Arcadis. Additionally on the call is Casey Wolf, facility engineer with UPS in Chelmsford. He has been associated with UPS Chelmsford for almost 15 years now. I do think it's worth noting that UPS has been a proud member of the business community and the town of Chelmsford for over 34 years. Some quick background on the project and need. UPS Chelmsford was built in 1986. The current facility employs around 3,000 people. The UPS owned property around this is approximately 80 acres. The current building and operational area footprint utilizes approximately 45 acres of that 80. We are looking, as per the submitted plans, to expand the truck trailer staging, aka parking, by 138 trailer positions. This expansion would be located on approximately 5 acres in the northeastern portion of the property. Over the last 13 years, UPS Chelmsford has experienced growth due to e-commerce. Because of this growth, the current trailer staging yard has been congested. The property was originally built with 740 trailer parking positions. On an average day now, UPS has close to 900. Due to the shortfall in trailer parking positions, efficiency and production as it relates to the movement of the trailers has been reduced. One of the ways this efficiency has been reduced is the process of auto-arriving trailers as they come onto the property to a specific numbered bay. This gets complicated when UPS does not have enough designated bay positions. So the way UPS currently gets around it is to park the trailers in the drive lanes and to double stack them. With the addition of the 138 new bay positions, we can gain back that efficiency that's been lost. The added bays will not only allow us to park the trailers as they arrive, but will allow us to move the trailers from bay to bay without the loss of production of having to move additional trailers out of the way. UPS has been fully transparent on the need for this expansion and has worked closely with the town of Chelmsford over the last few years in doing so. We wanted to ensure we presented a viable project that not only supports UPS's needs, but one that can be supported by the town and neighbors as well. Will somebody be sharing the plans, or can I share my screen, or how does that work?
Well, we just went to a total different screen here. Who's running the screens? Well, it's Colleen. Colleen, you're in the wrong place.
I'm still trying. So if he wants to share his screen and then he could control it, that would be fine by me.
Okay, excellent. Bear with me 1 second. It was not allowing me at first. Can everyone see?
You got it.
Great. So just, a brief rundown on the technical aspects of the project from a disciplinary perspective. Obviously, the bulk of this is site work. The expansion of this lot as currently shown here as designated by this dotted hatched region that I'm hoping you can see with relative clarity with the zoom share. This would be an expansion of the current 1A industrial zoning with no encroachment into any residential zoning designations within our property. Increase in paved area with that. The proposed design does not discharge any stormwater within a zone 2 or interim wellhead protection area of a public water supply or any other critical areas. The proposed parking lot expansion is not within the limits of the flood zone for Halesbrook. Basically, the parking lot expansion area will be tributary to the existing stormwater network, and no new stormwater outfalls will be constructed as a part of it. Basically, all stormwater managed on site. As part of the new trailer staging area, we will have some new site lighting. As related to one of the comments from Evan, I believe it will be within the height constraint. I think we have it as 24 feet as indicated within our design currently, which complies. The only water service work would be the relocation of a fire hydrant, which we've already communicated to the fire department here. And then additionally, and I'll scroll down to another page to better represent it. We're also proposing a new green space allotment, and actually it's in excess of the minimum town regulations as it relates to the percentage to new pavement. We're also proposing nearly 300 new plants and trees along the Brick Hill Road frontage and the Jennifer Lane frontage to the north. The majority of these would be between 8 and 10 feet in height for street screening. So, really, from a proposed project status perspective, I think that would cover it. I'm happy to open it to any questions the board might have.
Okay, why don't we run the board right in the same way we were going. Mike Raisback, go ahead and chime in. And is there any questions, Mike?
Are you coming to me?
Yep.
Coming to me first?
Yep.
Okay. The basic plan, I don't find too problematic. However, let's cut right to the issue. The issue, as I understand it from a not inconsequential amount of communication from the neighbors, is the trucks come out and they take a left. Now, I'm not interested really in what UPS will do to encourage people not to do that. I'm interested in what you will do to stop them from doing that. How do we stop people from going left out of there? How do we make sure that they go down to 129?
I mean, I think we've stated that we're willing to supplement past signage attempts with something more.
No, signage hasn't worked yet. I want something that'll work. I mean, get out there with a shotgun? I don't know, but it got to stop.
Okay.
All right, is that all you got, Mike?
That's my major concern, because I think the rest of this, from the point of view of the mechanics of the addition of the parking spaces, I think it's fairly reasonable, and I understand the need.
Okay. All right, how about Mike Walsh? You want to throw a few questions in?
Yeah, I got a couple of questions. One of the neighbors' letter has many items that they're addressing, and I'm sure the neighbors will talk about it. But can you talk to me about, is there going to be any expansion or access through Moore Street?
No, I mean, we understand that concern. And just looking at the proximity here briefly, we're over 1,000 square feet in adjacency from what would be the furthest extent of the construction. I don't see how within the northeastern region of the lot expansion that this would have any impact on that distance.
Okay.
It's quite substantial.
And how do you address the current conditions of the noise that the neighbors are hearing with I know the safety backup alarms and that are needed, signals. Is UPS addressing that with the neighbors at all of their concerns? I'm sure this has been going on for a while.
My understanding is that in 8 years' time, UPS has only received one noise complaint. I think if requested by the board, we would be willing to perform a noise study if that's something deemed necessary. But currently, again, with the duration of activity versus complaints received.
Just for familiarity, what is the hours of operation that you foresee in this parking lot being used? Is it 24 hours or is it?
It is a 24-hour operation with fluxes of intensity throughout at varying degrees throughout the day.
Okay. And then the impact of the environmental impact, you don't see all the drainage, everything's going to the grease traps and all separate systems.
Everything is being kept on site, correct?
Yep. And then the other question I have is, how is this additional 276 trucks going to impact the intersection at 129? Because I've gone to the rink down there for events, and it's a disaster at rush hour trying to get in, get out. The trucks are coming out first thing in the morning, and then at night they're coming in. How do you guys plan on addressing that system?
So I think there's a slight bit of misinformation in terms of how that number is presented, in the sense that the traffic study analyzes the total count of the road, not just that number that was just described. Basically, UPS provides less than 5% of traffic through there during the AM peak and less than 27% during the PM peak, which frankly is a negligible number, just in the sense that the PM peak is minor as it stands anyway.
If UPS thinks it's minor, why do they pay for the police details to move the traffic along?
Just to keep the operation flowing as necessary.
It's only a minor impact because it's the public that is causing the traffic. Why is UPS funding that? That's all I have questions. I mean, that intersection needs to be looked at. I know it's in the city, in the town of Billerica, and for their approval. But this 276 additional tractor trailers, and if you're definitely coming out onto Brick Kiln Road, turning right, coming down towards 129, there's going to be a major impact to this intersection.
if I may, Mike,
Yes, yes.
they're likely paying for the detail because the town of Billerica is requiring it.
Okay. I just wanted to see, is there plans for UPS to go to the town of Billerica to address that intersection?
So my understanding is that as part of this application, myself and Lieutenant Colin Spence both emailed our counterparts in Billerica. My understanding is that Billerica is not interested via this process in pursuing signalized intersection at that intersection, that they seem okay with continuing the police detail.
And do we have any, does the town of Chelmsford have any rights to that intersection due to the flow coming out of Chelmsford and back into Chelmsford?
The town of Chelmsford does not have any jurisdiction over that intersection. If the planning board is interested in pursuing this further, you can certainly request that the applicant make contact with Billerica and receive something in writing with their position on this. And with the board's request, we can also circle back with the police department, Chelmsford Police Department, and ask them to try to obtain something in writing from the Billerica Police Department. But our initial inquiries and discussions with Billerica were that they were aware, but really were not interested in pursuing anything more than what's out there.
Okay. Glenn, I'm all set. Thank you.
All right, Mike. Nan, you want to give us your thoughts, please?
Yeah. I second what about the left turn situation. Whatever the resolution on this application is, it needs to include a solution that actually said, yeah, we have comments based on the answer. And the question is there an expectation that this will take down all the trees along and then replant that section?
No, the anticipation right now is that the trees will remain and will be supplemented with the additional landscape buffer that we're proposing. Within the extent of the construction, obviously.
So the expectation is that trees that are there and add more trees?
Correct.
Okay. Why you have that you do on your landscape plan, because they're already there?
I'm sorry, you're cutting out a touch.
All right. Please go back to the drawing board with your landscape plan. That's the bottom line. Max that are included are listed, I don't know, agriculture as weedy, and I'm darn sure spreading into their yards. I'm concerned that this landscape plan is placing white pines and red oaks underneath the power lines. We already have enough of a power lines clear, and planting new large growing trees underneath them is the wrong thing to do. So before I would consider approving this plan, I would want to see an update of the landscaping plan.
Evan, is it possible to get some clarity on the previous comments as well? I couldn't quite hear what was issued before the power line comment.
Nan is stating that she believes there are power lines, existing power lines near or under where you're proposing landscape.
No, understood that piece, but she seemed to have an additional comment that I couldn't quite catch.
Oh, she's referring to, unfortunately, Chelmsford town-wide over the last number of years has suffered significant numbers of power outages due to storm damage, particularly with white pines, or any pine for that matter.
Okay.
So I think Nan is requesting that you look at a different different evergreen species.
Thank you.
All right.
Exactly. To be as high growing, and get rid of those sumacs and replace them with something else.
All right, is that all you got, Nan?
That's all I have.
All right, Tim.
I'm okay with the plan, but the traffic and the landscaping has to be dealt with.
Okay. Tim, why don't you give us what you got?
First I'd like to thank UPS for being in town for so long, and you guys do a great job. Not to beat up on it, but I can definitely agree with everyone else as far as the traffic. The neighbors, I'm actually shocked that you've only had one call for noise complaint. From the letters that we received, it sounds like it's been a huge problem, the noise. But my concerns, did you guys happen to reach out to any of the neighbors or to the abutters to discuss this or anything that would make them happy?
I do not believe, unless the client would like to correct me, I do not believe there's been any engagement prior to this submittal.
Sure, Doug, I can speak to that if you can hear me.
Yes, we can, Casey.
Okay. So we did not go out proactively, knock on doors, and talk to the residents of Moore Street or Brick Hill Road. We actually weren't aware of concerns of the Moore Street residents until just recently, due to the fact that the construction was going to be on the Brick Hill Road side and in an industrial zoned area. So no, we didn't proactively touch base with the Moore Street residents. But again, we're an open book. I think Doug made the comment that we've been talking to the town for a few years now about the need for expansion, and we welcome neighbors to come in. I actually met a nice woman today. She was on my fence line taking pictures. Introduced myself, gave her my business card, and said, whatever you need, just let us know. We're here to support the community with the service. Times like now show that a business like ours obviously is deemed essential. We're not trying to do anything to impact the community, to take advantage of the community. We're just trying to alleviate a little bit of congestion in our yard. So just to circle back to that question, no, we didn't proactively talk to the neighbors.
Okay, I think I agree. You guys do a great job, and you're definitely essential. We're all seeing that during this time, and I don't think anybody could argue that. I think just from what most of us, or what I'm going by, is from what the neighbors are complaining about. It seemed a lot worse than the letters that we received, I guess, about the noise, and I'm sure we'll hear more comments. But I guess if anything, I would ask is maybe what they've already talked about is working with the traffic and something with the noise. And maybe by you guys setting up some sort of a meeting with the neighborhood, you guys would be able to handle that. That's all I got for now.
All right, thanks, Tim. Donald.
Thank you, Glenn. Yeah, Tim, that's well said. Your initial comments regarding UPS. You all have been fabulous for the town of Chelmsford, and we're certainly happy that you're here. And of course, I'm on the planning board, but I'm also on the EDC, and I just want to give high praise for UPS. They are the #1 employer in the town of Chelmsford with 3,000 employees. I am interested in knowing, though, you mentioned you have 80 acres, but 45 will be developed or is developed.
It's the current, that, Doug? The current operational footprint.
Okay, so if you add the additional, is that
approximately 5 or 6, closer to 50 now?
Okay, all right, great. And then you had mentioned that there was less than 5% of the traffic generated up on 129. Possibly might have been from UPS
during the AM peak. That is the study that was performed and the data that was collected. Correct.
Okay. All right. And how efficient do you believe that detail is on 129?
Casey, would you care to comment on that?
Yeah, you bet. So as far as efficiency, that's #1 in our business. We are trying to get those drivers on the road and to deliver as soon as possible. So we have been, I think, spending that or paying for that detail for years. I don't think we do it without the support of Bill Ricca and the understanding that getting those trucks through that intersection as fast as possible helps everybody. So on an efficiency standpoint, I know I watched that detail. He does a great job, or she does a great job, allowing 129 to flow, allowing the post office to come out of Brick Hill Road, allowing the details when they have events at the forum Those are some pretty impressive, efficient police officers moving that traffic around. So I really respect those guys, and they do a great job for us. And again, it's about getting those trucks in and out of that intersection as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty confident that UPS does want to be a good neighbor. I would truly hope that you all would zero in on and address the traffic needs and try somehow to mitigate the traffic coming out of your property and flowing through a neighborhood. You need to somehow address that. There needs to be some mitigation. You're encroaching on the neighborhood. Of course, you all need to work together, and you guys are the 800-pound gorilla, and I'm sure UPS can come up with an idea of how to help the neighborhood out there. Also with the 53G, I would probably agree with Evan. We do need to take that into consideration as we move forward. Those are basically my comments.
All right, thanks, Donald. Henry, you got something? You got to unmute yourself.
I got it. Off-site parking was asked about earlier. Are you guys going to continue to do off-site parking, or is this going to wrap it all into the same property?
Hey, Doug, I'll speak to that again. I do anticipate us using and needing off-site parking.
All right. And Evan, do you have an idea of what we're looking at for a number for the 53G?
It's normally $100 per parking space. These aren't traditional parking spaces. My suggestion is, similar to other projects, if the applicant comes to the table with a proposal to improve, fix, or enhance existing traffic problems, very often the board will reduce it or waive it in exchange for that monetary improvement. What I'm hearing from the board is you clearly want the applicant to look at solving the left turn out of the facility. That's going to require some level of financial contribution. It may make sense for UPS to come back to the board and articulate and detail out that proposal and weigh that out compared to the 53G contribution. The problem with the 53G contribution is, where would we use it?
I'm sure you'd find a way to spend it, Evan.
Oh, of course, but you can't. Widening Brick Hill Road, you have the bridge over the canal. I think the improvements related to UPS and traffic are really in the neighborhoods and making sure those trucks don't take a left out of the facility.
Yeah.
That would be appropriate use of 53G, right, Evan?
It would be, yep. It could be in partnership or coordination with UPS and the town. I think that's what UPS needs to look at, working with their operations and then the town DPW police. Maybe there are geometric modifications, physical modifications that can be made to local roadways so that trucks physically cannot get down these roads or take turns on these roads.
Yeah. If I could make an additional point, we've talked about the problem of left turn coming out of UPS. We also want to prevent the right turn coming in, because apparently some of that traffic is not leaving but arriving. And I would have no problem if some guy comes down the wrong way. Don't let him take a right turn. Let him figure out how to turn his 18-wheeler around down there on 129.
So just to talk to the board a little bit about what we've done in the past, working with the town, putting in new signs, getting larger signs, getting special permits to put up those signs, putting up the details. We also have, and it's not an excuse, we have contracted carriers that actually come down from Sprague Street down Brick Hill Road, where we struggle to get those other contractors to follow our rules. We're more than happy and have been doing it for years, but the UPS employees are directed not to turn down that road, and they don't turn down that road. So the brown UPS truck, tractor trailer, never goes down that road. Unfortunately, it ends up being these contract carriers. But again, that's not an excuse. I'm just putting that out there that we're trying to work with these other vendors to not go down there. The only brown trucks that actually make it down there are the ones that make into delivery, but we're adamant about nobody going down there with the tractor trailers. Doesn't help the
Yeah,
situation,
well-
but they are not UPS employees.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how you would enforce that. You could simply fire every contract that does it wrong. That seems a little strong, but if that's what it takes.
Okay, Hank, you got something to throw in on this? You're next up.
Thanks, Glenn.
Yep.
First of all, Evan, 129, isn't that a state road?
That portion near the bridges, the intersection is Billerica jurisdiction.
Okay, because I was thinking of petitioning the state on that 129 for lights.
Well, that's, again, if UPS wanted to pursue signalizing that intersection, I don't know how much they pay annually for a detail.
Right.
That would be a different story. I can understand why Billerica probably prefers the detail payment. And I have no doubt if the state was asked that they would support signalizing that intersection.
Right, I agree. Now, I have a question on the signage. What is the signage when you leave UPS Road? Does it say no trucks allowed or just no left turn or?
So at the end of UPS Road, right as you turn onto Brick Hill Road, we have a small island with a light. It says no left turns. Basically, that's basically what it says. And the issue isn't the trucks leaving our property taking a left turn. They miss our property. So coming down Brick Hill Road, they seldom see the left-hand turn. So that was the additional signs we put on the right. We have our UPS emblem to the right. We have signs that say contract carriers to the left. Unfortunately, they just fly right by and then get stuck. And this is where the neighbor concerns, I think, come up, is they're stuck. They can't back up. They can't go straight. They can't go right. So we're trying to actively figure out how to keep those carriers from shooting by that UPS road. And one of the things we brought up in the initial preliminary meeting was maybe one of those lighted highway signs. But again, that would require some permitting, I believe, from the town, just, directing people to the left as they come down the road.
Yeah, I was thinking like a lighted UPS sign, or, low voltage lighting, especially for the night deliveries.
We
Might
have
help.
one. It faces Brick Hill Road and UPS Road. We could potentially turn that and modify it. And we've actually looked at that too as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, I just got a few questions. And again, I want to echo Timmy. UPS, I've dealt with you guys and you're really an asset to the town. You're doing a lot for everybody. And I can see why you're growing with the way the society's getting. I just have a question on your parking lot. The people on Moore Street, and being involved with trucks and everything, I'm afraid they're going to be having the trucks backing into the pen on the trailers, dropping them, air brakes. So my question is, and it's probably not going to work, but is it feasible to put the trailer parking where the employees park now and have the employees park in the back? That way the noise would be mitigated a further distance from the neighbors. I don't know if your parking lot would support the trailers or not. That's why I'm asking if you could flip it.
Yeah, we looked at a few different configurations when we kicked off our schematic design, and just based on the needed radius turns and everything for the trucks, the position they're currently positioned in is really the only option.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, that was my question. I just want to see if that was feasible. But I do agree you need to expand.
Okay,
I just don't want the neighbors to feel the pain. That's all.
Yep. Okay. Any more? Nope.
Nope. Thank you.
All right.
Glenn, it's Colleen. Christina
Yeah.
Christina Papadopoulos would like to read the letter from the Billerica Engineering Group.
All right. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Christina.
Okay, thank you. So I was in correspondence with the Billerica Engineering Division, town engineer and the assistant town engineer. Told them that this project was going on, that UPS wanted to expand their parking. And I sent them a copy of the traffic study. I sent them a copy of the set of plans so they could take a look at what it looked like. And they submitted a memo to the planning board. and it references the traffic study. So I just want to briefly mention what was concluded in the traffic study before I read the Billerica memo, so that it has so you know what I'm referencing when I talk about it. So the traffic study done was a comprehensive study done on the intersection at 129 and Brick Hill Road. And the recommendations were to add capacity on Brick Hill Road, either on route itself or at the intersection of Route 129 to address excess queuing and need for LEO interdiction in the AM peak. Adding capacity on Route 129 at Brick Hill Road, nominally a left turn pocket for traffic. Onto Brick Hill Road in the PM peak, it is conceivable that 2 left turn lanes would be required northbound onto Brick Hill Road through a longer left turn pocket could address that issue as well. The installation of a traffic signal at Route 129 at Brick Hill Road. This traffic signal should be interconnected to the signals at the US 3 ramps to ensure consistent traffic flow across the network. So those were recommendations. Now I will read the Billerica memo. It says the town of Billerica DPW Engineering Division has reviewed the plans entitled Parking Lot Expansion, United Parcel Service, Chelmsford, Massachusetts, dated December 2019, and Traffic Study, Chelmsford Traffic Impact Study, dated January 2020, prepared by Arcadis. We have the following concerns. General comments. Number 1, we recommend that the applicant implement the mitigative measures proposed in the traffic impact study. The town of Billerica has no plans for improving the intersection of Chelmsford Road, Route 129, and Brick Hill Road in the foreseeable future. Number 2, we would like to remind the applicant that heavy truck traffic is not permitted on Alpine Street in Billerica. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Glenn, can I just say something real fast? And I appreciate Christina reading that.
Yeah.
But there is a section that she did not finish reading when it came to the recommendations in that traffic study.
Okay.
It also said, it is advised, regardless of the UPS site expansion, that the additional turning pockets as well as a traffic signal be installed at the intersection of the Brick Hill Road and Route 29. That's based on current situation. So I understand the need and I understand the intersection, but the study showed that current needs, not our future expansion, require the traffic light.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. All right, well, I'm just trying to think what the questions that I had for you. So with your new parking lot, the amount of trucks that you have coming in there now, you're gonna have 138 more parking spots. How many more trucks do you anticipate coming in there? Right now, you're having the trucks come in and they're just parking up and down the street. So you probably have the same amount of trucks.
Correct. That's correct.
You're not increasing the amount of trucks right now.
That is not the plan. The expansion would just allow us to decongest the yard. We're seeing about an average of 900 tractor trailers on our property. Doesn't mean they leave every day, but the 900 spaces it's just too much. And what it does is it just congests those drive lanes. So the additional 138 spots are the max we can do without going towards wetlands, without going towards other residential areas, and to understand the stormwater constraints. So we're maxing out our current property to add 138 trailer positions.
Okay, so theoretically, the noise that you have there now isn't going to be really that much different once you put the parking lot in. And from what I see, the parking lot is, like you say, it's 1,000 feet away from every house, and there's all pine trees between the parking lot and the houses. I really don't foresee that much of a huge difference in having that parking lot there or parking the way that you're parking, to be perfectly honest with you.
I will mention, we do see a need to do some other more work for the Jennifer Lane residents. And we have no problem talking about that and addressing it. One of the things Doug presented was a landscaping plan, but it didn't show the berm that we're going to build and add to prevent more sound from getting off our property. So that's on the plan as well, but we're open to suggestions. The biggest concern we have is that line of our property is a pretty long line. To go down the road of sound wall barriers down the whole line may be a little excessive, but again, we're willing to talk about it. Doug and I, the Arcadis team, the local team have talked about it. If there are concerns with the Jennifer Lane residents, who are our closest neighbors, we'll do our best to appease them and see what we can do.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like you're trying to make it work for everybody. I think a berm is probably going to be your best answer, because that's going to block most of the noise. Noise travels sideways. It doesn't, if you put something in between it typically tends to slow it down enough to make it much better. So, so we've gone all around the board at this point. This is a public hearing at this point. And I know we got a bunch of people, the thing has been blinking on and off with a million different questions. I don't know what we were supposed to be doing with them questions while we were discussing stuff. I would kind of hope that they would have waited.
I believe
till the
Colleen
end.
has people in the queue.
Yes, Glenn, you can start with if you recognize Marlene Cody, please.
Where's Marlene Cody? Hey, Colleen.
Yep.
Before we get too far going on this, can you, while the people are calling in, can you like pre-screen them if they're all asking the same questions? Because it seems like we're going to have a ton of people chiming in on the same exact questions by the looks of everything that was coming up on the board in front of me, to try to keep it to so we don't all have the same question being asked.
Frankly, I'm uncomfortable doing that. I think you as the chair, should be doing that. So.
All right.
Is it Marlene Cody?
Yes.
Can
you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I tried calling into the number, but it didn't work. So I guess I'll have to do it through the Zoom call. So I probably am going to repeat a few of the things you've already talked about. I think you guys are asking all the right questions. I think the board's doing a good job so far. But I do want to make you further aware of an issue that, frankly, I have not known who to complain to, okay? I don't, it's a big corporation. I don't know who I'm supposed to call to say, you're waking me up every night. I live on Sprague Avenue. I'm quite a ways away from UPS. I never really thought it was going to be an issue to me. But every single night, I can't open my windows in the good weather because I would be kept up all night. There's banging noises that reach my house. There's, backing up noises that reach my house. I mean, maybe at night it's because noise travels further, but I can tell you, we wear earplugs to sleep at night. And I'm a long way away, so I can't imagine anybody who's living on Moore Street or Jennifer Lane can sleep without earplugs already. Okay, so I did hear Dan, I think, say that there is an issue on the signs because there's no lighting. I've been saying that since they put them up. Those trucks go right by them in the evening and at night. There's no lighting at all. There's no way for them to see that they should turn left. So please add lighting. And we still have problems with trucks on Sprague, even though we now have a truck exclusion and signs that say no trucks. They still come from Gorham Street. And I can tell you, every Sunday you could come to my house and watch the Prime Trucking Company come down this street at about 40 miles an hour. It's ridiculous how fast they come down this street. They can barely stop at the stop sign without air brakes. And the last thing I would like to suggest is we have a huge amount of empty buildings with paved parking lots along 129. I think it would be great if you could maybe look at purchasing one of them instead of expanding on an area where it's surrounded by neighbors that don't want the noise. Just a suggestion. Thank you.
Okay. All right, can we get the next person up on the queue, Colleen?
Pablo, go ahead.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So I wrote a letter to the board, so probably you already know my concern. I just want to highlight a couple of points. So the expansion, it's not 1,000 feet from our house. It's farther from Moore Street, correct? But if you look at the map, it's very, very close to Jennifer Lane, where we have 3 houses. So the plan is showing that there is a line train between the UPS and the residential neighborhood. But so my concern is that the tree will not screen the noise. And we're talking about trucks that are very, very close to our house. Yeah, so those are main points that I had. And I sent a letter to UPS trying to work with them. And I received a reply from an attorney. And we didn't go, it didn't go very well.
All right.
So that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, grab the next one, Colleen.
Okay, Natasha, you can go ahead.
Yes, good evening. Can everyone hear me? This is Natasha Ramsing on behalf of Brick Kiln LLC, who is in a butter to UPS. Our concerns in regards to the expansion really run the risk of the damage to the existing road. The road that Brick Kiln is on right now is not one that is a new road. It's an old road. And the concern is with the additional 138 parking spots that may have 138 trucks coming in and out according to the traffic study, is that the road is really going to bear the brunt of this with the weight of these trucks. And eventually it will be the town and the taxpayers who are going to have to pay for the repair of these roads. And that has not been addressed. There has been nothing set forward by UPS to indicate how they're going to help maintain these roads or care for the roads that the taxpayers of Chelmsford pay for. So my question to UPS is, what are you going to do in order to minimize the extensive use on the public roads?
Well, I could probably chime in a little bit on that for you. The trucks that they have going in and out of there pay to go on those roads. They're registered to drive down the roads in the state. Granted, that road it might be falling apart. Them trucks are all registered and they're paying to be on those roads. So I don't think it would be UPS's problem to fix the roads, because it's an allowed practice. Maybe if UPS wanted to step up to the plate, and as they're doing their lane things that we were talking about, maybe get into rebuilding a section of that road and tightening it up a little bit so it's a better road, and do it all at the same time. It might be something that's advantageous to them to do that. But as far as saying trucks can't go up and down a road, you just can't do that.
We're not saying that the trucks can't go up and down the road. What we're saying is that it puts an additional strain on the public roads. And there's nothing in their plan to address the fact that this additional strain is going to be borne by the taxpayers. You know, this is a commercial entity. You know, there are so many homeowners and residents surrounding UPS that have to drive on those roads. And so when there are larger potholes and problems in the winter and things of that nature, it's the homeowners that have to deal with it. You know, and that's what I'm saying, is that I'm not saying they can't go up and down the roads. What I'm saying is that the additional strain on the municipal roads is significant, and that isn't being addressed.
Right. Well, we'll have to.
Glenn, can I ask you a question, Glenn?
When time comes. Yep.
Glenn, how long has UPS been there?
Oh, I'd say back in the 80s, right?
Oh, I was just curious on that time. That's all.
They've been there a while.
Yeah.
And
okay.
To further give into you to the comments on the additional trucks, there really isn't going to be any 138 additional trucks. They're just relocating where they're parking the 138 trucks that are coming into their parking lot. So that was a question I just asked a little while ago. There's not going to be an additional 138 trucks. Them trucks are already coming and going on a daily basis. They're just trying to get their yard organized and have a place where they can put them so they can have a place to work.
That isn't what the traffic study indicated. The traffic study was based on the potential of 138 trucks being on the road coming inbound and outbound if you go through the traffic study. I understand that they're saying they may be moving things around in the yard, but that is not what the traffic study said. It discusses inbound and outbound, 138 in each direction every day.
Correct, but those trucks are already coming in and out of there every day. It's not going to be an additional 138 trucks. It's 138 trucks, period. And it's not going to be 276 trucks, or whatever the number would be. I don't know if my math was that quick, but it's not going to be double that. It's going to be the 138.
Well, what it said in the traffic study was, in conclusion, the addition of 138 parking spaces and additional 138 inbound and 138 outbound has a negligible effect on future traffic volumes. So it discusses inbound and outbound. It isn't just saying the parking spots alone. Hence, the concern for, the additional wear and tear on the road coming in and out of UPS.
So I can speak to that just real fast, and sure. Doug may be able to elaborate. We did worst case scenario for the traffic study. We had to say that there may be an impact, but it's clear in our proposal, and what we're saying is that the congestion on our property, it warrants the expansion, not the addition of tractor trailers over the road. But again, it was worst case scenario, saying if we had an additional 276 trailer moves, potentially they'll go on and off the property. But that was worst case scenario.
Okay. All right. So do we have somebody else in queue, Colleen?
Yep. Anil Patel, go ahead.
Sure. My name is Anil Patel. I'm from 57 Brickham Road, very close to the current facilities. I have actually four major concerns, but one of the concerns, the major one, is the noise. When we sleep at night, never ever able to basically open the windows. We hear the backing up noise of beeping. We hear the honking noise. We hear the pounding noise, attaching and deattaching of the basically tractor trailer with the trucks. So I feel like we are living in a kind of like a heavy traffic within the city kind of environment where nothing but noise is all the time. Now, one statement Doug made is not a fair statement to me. Measurement of noise by complaint, that is, we are nice to it, not every day calling to somebody like police or somebody, because we don't want to waste the time of the police to come to the UPS to complain about our noise. We are nice and fair, not calling everybody. If you think we need to start doing every honking, we can start doing that calling. That's not a problem. But that's not a fair statement. Second thing, you bringing a parking lot so closer that you have to think about it, how to avoid the noise coming, some sort of a noise barrier. We are not trying to here to reluctant to what you're trying to do over there. We are here to ensure that we live, basically, we have invested our energy time into living and make our home over here. So we interested in noise-free environment, at least at night time. Daytime, we understand. So you have to look into that. Second thing is the worst, one time it was really bad case happened at my family. Wife was driving at Bricklin Road towards the Lowell side, and at Jennifer Road, UPS truck trying to back up, and within a 1 foot of backing up, not knowing there is a car behind it, and she ended up basically could have been crushed by the truck. So you gotta have to do something about truck going on the Bricklin Road, period. There is no if and but, otherwise we're gonna have to start doing something else over there. third thing we are seeing is when we go into the intersection at 129 and Bricklin Road, we sometimes stand there for 20 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, even though there is a backup happen up to 3/4 mile and sometimes goes to the 1 mile. Now, that is also not acceptable if you think about it, if you're adding more traffic to it. Now, I understand you saying 130 trucks, but you also putting exception or worst case scenario to 260. That means you are adding the traffic over there. Not today, someday, because you will be allowed by the town to do it. Fourth thing is, very good point that somebody brought up about the road. There is a frequency of repair of the road need to be changed. Understood, there is a business, there is a revenue to the town. We understand there is a road need to be utilized. All things we understand from business perspective. But as a traffic or road used by the people of the Chelmsford or transporting to that road, frequency of road maintenance need to be improved. And that will help to basically make it better. There is a one concern I have, last one is the gas line simply making a small building and tear down 10 trees. And they're willing to put a fence across our property to ensure that visibility goes away. UPS has been big facility. They can do very good job of making a life easier of the neighbors around them. That should be a simple request and simple thing to do by UPS. So that is my all basically request and concerns, and hopefully UPS will take care of the concerns that we have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We got another one in the queue, Colleen?
Yep, there's a couple more. Angela Caputo.
Okay, Angela?
Hi there, yes. So I'm a Moore Street resident, and I want to echo what some other people have said about the noise.
Okay, we got, not to cut you off, but we got it about the noise. We got it about the left-hand turns and all that stuff. Do you have anything new to add?
So lighting is also an issue. Additional lighting would impact the quality of life of the people on Moore Street, because the lighting as it is now shines through the trees into Moore Street. So additional lighting will have that additional impact. And we're also just concerned about any environmental impact that additional pavement may have, because we have a lot of vernal pools and some natural water in the neighborhood, and we just wanted to make that known.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Nope. All right, next one up, Colleen.
Glenn, I think we have three more. The next one is Krishna.
Yep. Hi. Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
And
just to give you a heads up on it. We're looking for new comments. We've already know about the noise, the left-hand turns, the 129. If you've got anything new.
Yeah, I do have a few new things, but I would like to echo what Anil said. And I'm the closest guy to this expansion, and I'm going to be hearing these noises. So I would like them to take care of it. And I would like to echo what Anil said about complaining with Doug. What Doug said, we disagree, because I did call a lot of times and there was no response from UPS or from people with all my concerns. So it's absolutely not correct that we don't complain about things that happen. But so I would like that to be addressed. Two other important things I would like to ask is, one is my driveway, my yard, everything got crushed under UPS trucks. And I called numerous times. There was police complaints. I called the city. Nobody took care of it. Nobody. Even with the police complaint. One day, a truck got stuck right in front of my yard. And nobody, even today, that sprinkler system is screwed up because of that. And nobody did anything so far. And my driveway is screwed up. Jennifer Lane. Is anybody going to address that for us, please?
You have to take that up with whoever did the damage. We have no control over that.
That's UPS trucks. There was a police complaint too, a year and a half ago. The cop came, he wrote a letter, he left it, the address. I called them, then nobody from the UPS nor the town addressed this issue for us. Every week or every month, I see at least one or two trucks taking a U-turn in my driveway. The 18-wheelers I'm talking about.
Okay.
And The other concern I have is the people who are working at UPS are walking on the streets. There's no proper lighting at nighttime, and we are driving by. And if something happens, who is responsible for that? Because we can't see properly, maybe. There's no pathway for them to walk, and the people are walking all the time. There's no safe. I mean, we don't know. There are post mailboxes are there. We don't know what is. I mean, I'm not saying that they do anything, but I'm just saying.
All right.
Has anybody?
So we got your points on that.
And the noise is, I'm going to be the closest guy to the closest to this parking. And one other thing I would request the town chairman, one quick thing. If you give them permissions to build, please do it in the same time, because the National Grid guys on a weekend came to the property, started drilling at 7 o'clock in the morning. Is that fair for us to live? It's like 20 feet from my bedroom. Okay. Why would a town give somebody a permission at 7 o'clock in the morning to drill on a weekend?
All right. Okay, so we'll note those things down.
Yeah, please do it on a weekdays after
Okay.
8 o'clock for construction. No, not before that, please. Or not on the weekends.
Okay, anything else?
No, I mean, if these addresses are concerned, I'm okay with it. So we need a sound barrier or something. I mean, a wall there. Absolutely, and trees planted.
Okay.
Without that, it won't work for us.
All right, so we got a few more callers calling in. So Colleen, you want to throw the next one in?
Yep, the next one is Noah. Noah, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I can. Hello.
Hello, how you doing? Hey, just to give you a heads up on it, we're looking for new comments. We already found out about the noise and the trucks backing up onto people's yards and taking left-hand turns. If you got something new, would like to hear that.
Hello.
Hello.
Go ahead, Noah.
Can you hear me? Hi, thank you. Members of the board, neighbors, Noah Parek, property owner of 93 Brick Kiln Road. We've been a owner of that property for close to 40 years. I lived on that property for a number of years, and I understand the concerns with the neighbors that we've already addressed. Now, the purpose of my comments is to address not only the traffic and the issues that are overcapacitizing the roads, but the fact that we have been in deep discussions with the town and the state to provide affordable housing at 93 Brick Kiln Road. And affordable housing, as everybody knows, is very, very important, especially with COVID. We understand that there's a moratorium that will end in October 22nd, 2020, for affordable housing projects to regain, and we have the support of the state and we have the support of the town. And we would like to be able to utilize that road to help provide a community asset, like housing for the police and housing for the teachers. We believe it's very important to have affordable housing.
All right.
We see,
hold
on a second.
The conversation here is more about the UPS parking lot than a new future project that.
Understood. But the increase, understood, sir.
Kind of keep
Thank you.
on track with the.
Yes, sir.
With what we're,
yes, sir.
What we're talking about.
Yes, sir. So the point is, as we continue to expand a commercial zone, we reduce the opportunity for community to live. And as much as we love UPS and we love everything UPS has done, we're over capacity here. We can't even control, UPS can't even control its own contractors and its own employees as to how to manage exiting and entering their property. We're over capacity. Adding more capacity, which more parking spots maybe right now might not mean more trucks, but if you give them the option for more parking, they will use it. And our concerns right now is it too big? Is it too big to control? Now, we'd like to provide something that is for the whole community, and we'd like to work together, but we really have to start thinking about, is this really the right spot for expansion? Is it the right spot for a $77 billion company to continue to disturb what started in the Chelmsford community, because I lived in Chelmsford since 1975. This is a residential area where people come to live. That's all I have to say, but I will leave it in the town's hands to make the right determination as to what needs to happen.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Two more, Glenn.
How many more you got, Colleen?
Two.
Two more, okay. After the two, we're probably just gonna hold off because I think we've got the gist of what everybody's basically saying the same exact thing. So we'll let these last two go and then we'll probably figure what we're gonna do next.
Okay, Mike Griffin, go ahead.
Great, thank you. I appreciate everybody's time. I know it's a long night and we're getting there, but I appreciate it. One thing I really wanted to focus on is, you know, I know people have been talking about the noise and it's killer. I'll have both. I am 100 yards off Moore Street and I still can't have my windows closed in the middle of winter without hearing, you know, trucks beeping, honking the horns. Sounds like they're crashing into each other. Who the heck knows? So I think a noise barrier would be definitely ideal. I think not only would the noise barrier be ideal for a noise situation, but it would also be helpful. I have found some people wandering outside the UPS facility at night. I'm really tired of picking up empty alcohol bottles in my front yard. So I think not only could the noise noise barrier keep the noise in, it will keep some of the employees in as well. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one, Colleen.
Next one is Aaron Drew. Unmute yourself. Aaron?
Hi, I'm here. Hi, I'm Aaron Drew. I'm at 24 Shed Lane. I am the street behind Moore, parallel. And I know you guys have heard enough about the noise, but I did want to kind of reiterate that I can hear the noise back here, and I'm over another street level. Not to a point that I think it's as annoying as it is over on Moore, but I'm worried that the increase in traffic over there will make it possibly as annoying as it is over on Moore. So there's that. You know, I'm also worried about our real estate values. You have a nice neighborhood here. From a town planning perspective, you know, I don't know what kind of that UPS facility slowly expanding will do to this area in general and to this neighborhood and to the surrounding neighborhoods as far as, I don't know, the general real estate overview. We only bought our house here a couple of years ago, so I'd hate to see things take a downturn. But yeah, that's about it. I guess everything else has been pretty well covered, so.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So with that, we got no more on there. I'm thinking that we kind of got a ballpark idea of where everybody's going with this. Maybe it'd be wise for you guys to come back with a plan on how you think we can best handle all these situations. Meaning the UPS crew.
Understood.
And a revised landscape plan.
Understood.
Okay. And with that being said, we might as well just continue this on to the next meeting because we've kind of beat it up pretty good for this night. And if somebody,
I will move that we continue the public hearing.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. So if you guys can get all your stuff together for us for the next meeting, we can maybe try to hash out and go forward.
I think Doug had one more question. We were wondering what you consider, Doug, if you can, our submission date for this project.
Correct. I'm pulling it up now. The way we have it documented, and this kind of goes back to some of the hiccups with the COVID delays and such, but the way we have our current submission documented is April 29th. And we wanted to confirm with the board that that is how they have it as well.
What was April 29th?
The date of our formal submission of this to the planning board.
All right, so is our clock is ticking on that, Evan?
Front page of the site plan review application was date stamped by the town clerk, February 6th or 8th.
Okay.
What was the date that you said, Doug?
I said 4/29.
Okay, so there was initial submission, which we had to redo. So 4/29 is the official date of submission.
Okay, what do we got for that for a timeline to finish it up?
It's somewhat complicated. The governor issued special executive orders related to COVID. So all of the typical timeframes have been extended. Tomorrow, when we get back in the office, we'll ask UPS to grant us an extension. And then we'll also confirm with council what our legal time frame is for this.
Okay, by the sounds of it, I think we have plenty of time.
I think right now we're, between now and June 10th, I think we're still within our time frame.
Okay.
We're willing to grant the extension. We want to be the right neighbor. We understand that things have happened, that some other things happened since February, but we just wanted to know our submission record extensions need to happen. They need to happen. We always want to be a good neighbor and do the right thing by the neighborhood.
Hey, Evan, I got one more question for you. Excise taxes. Do we collect much off of this property? We got a lot of parking spots.
I don't know. Casey would probably be able to answer that best. I'm assuming that the trucks pay excise.
I can't answer that. I know we pay the income tax for the employees and the property tax. But as far as excise tax, I'm not sure where all the vehicles are registered, because some of them aren't from here. They just come to here.
I can ask the town manager.
Yeah.
Get an answer for that.
There's got to be a couple vehicles that hang around there most of the time.
Yep, I would think so. Most of them are probably all on apportioned plates, and they're going out of their base office and divvied up that way.
Glenn?
Yes, Jeanette.
Thank you. I don't know about excise tax, but I just did a check on the assessor's database, and these folks are the 6th highest industrial property in town in terms of the taxes they pay.
Right.
So they absolutely are making their contributions toward road maintenance.
Exactly. All right. So we got our continuance to the next meeting, and we'll see you guys. When is the next meeting, Evan?
June 10th. Can we just get a motion to continue to June 10th?
Yes.
What you got?
Second.
All right. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Yep. All right. We got it.
Glenn, there's one other thing, if you don't mind.
Who's talking?
Colleen.
Oh.
So before it was discussed, you guys all got the letters. Nobody acknowledged the letters that were sent from residents. Could you do that, please?
Yes, let me mention that. Yeah, we received a fair number of letters in some considerable detail, I must say. I didn't read them into the record because it would have taken half the night. However, they are on the record, and I presume every member of the board has had a chance to read them over. I certainly have.
We have.
And they are available as part of the public record.
You want to make a motion, Mike, to waive the reading of those records and just put them
I
in
don't think we necessarily have to, but we can if you're more comfortable with it.
Yeah, just to keep the formalities straight.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we waive the reading of the letters.
We got a second?
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so we got that out of the way. All right.
I did have one last question. Are there minutes captured from this in terms of distribution of comments that we've received here?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, I think everything on this thing is recorded.
Public record, yeah.
If I remember correctly.
There'll be a recording, will be posted on the Chelmsford Telemedia website, and there'll be formal minutes reviewed and approved by the planning board and also posted on the town website.
Thank you.
All right, very good. We'll see you guys back on the 10th.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Okay.
All right. Now, getting dark in here. All right, so under new business. We have a proposal for a bylaw for the Historic Commission. It's kind of somewhat the same as what went through the last two times, but all of the negativity has been picked out of it. I guess that's probably a good way to put it. So what we're looking to do is just get the approval of the planning board to send this off to town meeting as it's written. Oh, there we go. We got it coming up now. As it's written, this was the original bylaw that the Historic Commission was working on. I think it answers like a lot of the questions. It answers everything that is trying to get done to save some of the older historic houses in town. And I think it'll be a good thing to get through. And if there's other stuff that people wanted to add to it, I think getting this through and then waiting and then add to it afterwards is probably going to be a lot better than trying to piggyback stuff onto a basic structure like this. You just let this go through, let the next one come in a year down the road or next fall or whatever, and say, okay, we want to tweak that a little bit by adding this to it. It'll
Are
be
you
lot
looking for a
easier to
motion, Glenn?
Go up.
Are you looking for a motion?
Yes, please.
Glenn,
Yep.
before you go to a motion, I'd like to point out that there is a sentence in there that needs some edits. If you scroll down to 1.1 subpart 2. Or in other words, I proofread it.
Okay, but we're only getting about every other word that you say, Nan.
I'm sorry. That's as good as my network's gonna do. Scroll slightly farther. Number 2. Okay, stop. I believe that after the comma, we should insert shall maintain.
Okay, shall maintain the historical and architectural features of the structure or building. That way.
Exactly.
Okay, we can do that. Can
This
you
is not a
note that in,
sentence as it
Colleen? Is
exists.
there anything else, Nan?
Nothing.
Okay.
I love
perfect.
it.
All right, Tim, you're up.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to present this at the town meeting.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that was easy. What else we got? Meetings. Has everybody read the meetings?
Just before you move on from this historic preservation, now that you've taken a vote, just curious as to how this got to the board. Last the board talked about drafting zoning articles, there was a pretty specific conversation that the board had.
We found it under a cabbage leaf.
Oh, sorry, what was that?
Never mind.
I don't know, maybe it's my computer that's beeping in and out here. I'm not getting hardly half of what people are saying.
Yeah, we're having bandwidth issues.
I'm wondering how it got to the board and who the author was.
The author of this was the Historic Commission.
This is an edited version of what we had previously presented.
So who edited it?
This removes everything about triplexes.
Right.
how to get on the agenda if, Evan, you didn't know about it.
I passed this along to get it onto this, to get it to town meeting, to try to get something in to try to preserve some of the older houses that are destined to get torn down.
Let me get to my point. If you looked at the original Word document that this came in under, the author's Bill. Who is Bill?
I don't understand what difference that makes.
Because the last time the planning board had a conversation about zoning bylaws based upon individual board members drafting articles and submitting them to the planning board under what the board referred to as a rush scenario, the board had a conversation, a very specific conversation about a procedure in which zoning articles would be prepared and drafted and presented to the planning board.
We've already gone through this 3 times, Evan.
All right.
We're just trying to get past that.
There's nobody named Bill on the planning board. I normally don't express opinions about board business, but this particular issue goes way outside of typical board business.
I don't understand how so.
Okay. All right, we're done. You guys took a vote. I said what I wanted to say. It moves on to your public hearing and then town meeting, probably in October.
All right, very good.
But does anybody know who Bill is? I mean, to follow up on Evan's question.
So essentially, the board has accepted a zoning article prepared by someone named Bill. We don't know who Bill is. And yet it's being presented that the historical commissions authored this, and yet they're not part of the meeting.
Evan? Well, again, this has been an edited version that we've been working on.
I know, right? The author is Bill.
Well, we don't know that. I mean, I don't know that because I didn't submit it, but it doesn't really matter.
I've made my point.
You did.
All right, moving on. Let's get the minutes out of the way. Has anybody read these minutes? Has everybody read the minutes?
Yes.
All right. Somebody want to make motions to get the minutes out of the way?
Make a motion to accept the minutes. What's the dates?
January 8th.
26th.
26
February
is not
26th.
complete. I don't know what you received, but the minutes that I received of the 26th is not a complete set of minutes.
Okay, why don't we hold out on the 26th one? We'll send them back to Colleen to have them redone. And then we'll work on the January 8th minutes.
January 8th, meeting to accept the meeting minutes from January 8th, 2020.
Get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that's it. Next meeting is June 10th. Anybody else have anything else to bring up on this? In open session? Hearing nothing, we need one more motion.
I move, if I may,
You may.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
All right, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Good meeting, guys.
Good night, all.
All right. Bye.
Good night.